Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a problem I think basically everyone listening experiences. Digital scatter.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know the feeling, right? You're trying to get something done, maybe plan a project or just organize your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But your tasks are over in Trello, maybe Todoist. Your
Right.
passwords, hopefully in a manager like LastPass. But maybe, not always.
Or maybe multiple managers, yeah.
Yeah.
Sticky notes even, sometimes.
Exactly. And then files are, everywhere. Dropbox, Google Drive, maybe OneDrive, stuff on your local machine.
Don't forget the notes. Google Keep, Evernote, Apple Notes.
Yeah.
Just scattered ideas.
It's chaos, and it leads to forgotten passwords, lost files, just scattered organization. It's a real pain point.
It really is. And it's more than just being messy, isn't it? It's what some people call organizational debt.
Organizational debt. I like that. Explain that a bit.
Well, every time you have to jump between those different apps, there's a cost, mental cost, like a context switch tax.
Right. You lose your flow.
You do. Plus, you're often paying actual money, subscription fees for all these different services.
Sure.
And then there are the security worries, having your data spread across so many third-party clouds, and just the sheer mental effort of trying to keep track of where everything is. These tools don't talk to each other usually.
No, they're silos. You're basically paying different companies to manage little slices of your digital life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because of that, no single system ever gets the full picture, the holistic view of you and your information.
Okay, so that sets the stage perfectly. Our deep dive today is into a potential solution for this called Savely. And Savely isn't just positioning itself as another productivity app or an aggregator. It's aiming much higher. They call it a holistic, self-hosted personal information management system, a PIMS.
Right. PIMS.
And their ambition goes even further. They intend it to be, and this is their term, your personal operating system, a POS.
That phrase, personal operating system,
Yeah.
it's deliberately provocative, isn't it?
It definitely grabs your attention.
It does. And it really gets to the heart of their philosophy. Because when we talk about PIMS, especially contrasting it with relying on big tech clouds services,
Yeah.
we're talking about some core principles.
Yeah.
Centralized management, definitely. Security, absolutely critical. But most importantly, gaining absolute control over your own valuable digital data.
Control. That seems to be the key word here.
It is. Savely's core promise, as they put it, is to let you, the user, store everything correctly, safely, and under your control.
Okay.
And that shift, that reclaiming of control and ownership away from third-party clouds, that's what makes this worth digging into today. It's a radical departure.
Right. A radical shift. Let's unpack that then, because it leads us straight into what makes Savely different. This whole self-hosted, anti-sauce model. Why would someone deliberately choose not to use the easy, convenient cloud services that big tech offers? What's the motivation?
Well, it's partly ideological, I think. It's a rejection of the standard SaaS model, software as a service.
Where you pay recurring fees forever.
Exactly. You pay monthly or yearly, and your data lives on their servers externally. That's how cloud providers make money, by essentially renting you access to your own information, stored on their infrastructure.
Okay.
Savely fundamentally challenges that. It asks, why should you pay continuously just to access and organize your own thoughts, your own files, your own data?
So the core pillars for Savely, the why Savely argument, seem to be ownership, security, and control.
That's it, precisely. This isn't just software you use, it's software you own. And crucially, you control the environment where it runs.
Which brings us to the self-hosting mechanics. How does that actually work?
It means Savely runs on infrastructure that you control.
Yeah.
Typically, this would be your own shared or dedicated web hosting account.
Like the kind you'd use for a website.
Yeah.
cPanel, direct admin, that sort of thing.
Exactly those.
Right.
Platforms you might already have for a personal blog or a small business site, or you could get hosting specifically for Savely.
So the software, the code, and critically, the database containing all your information, it lives on your server space.
Precisely. The data resides exactly where you install the script. And that's not just about the physical or virtual location. It fundamentally shifts the liability model.
Okay, that shift in liability, that's something we need to explore carefully, especially for listeners who understand the tech side.
Yes.
The benefit is obvious. Pay once, own forever. That's their model. No recurring monthly fees, no vendor lock-in. You potentially cut costs for services you might be paying for now, like, say, a premium password manager or a budgeting app.
Right. The cost savings can be significant over time.
But And this is the big but, isn't it? If I'm self-hosting, I become my own system administrator, essentially.
You do. That's the trade-off.
So what are the downsides? What responsibilities am I taking on?
That's the critical point. You're trading the convenience of SaaS, where Google or Dropbox or whoever manages the servers, the updates, the security patches, the backup.
Yeah, all the back-end stuff you never see.
Exactly. You trade that convenience for absolute responsibility.
Right.
You are now responsible for making sure your hosting environment is secure.
Right.
You need to handle PHP updates, manage backups, maybe deal with server configuration issues.
That sounds like a lot for someone non-technical.
It can be. However, for people who are privacy-focused or who are already technically comfortable managing a basic web host, that trade-off is often seen as entirely worth it because the reward is true digital autonomy. No external company, no commercial interest can ever dictate your access to your own data or change their terms of service or get acquired and shut down your service.
Okay, so it's convenience versus autonomy. That's a really clear way to frame it.
I think so.
So assuming someone accepts that responsibility, how does Savely itself help mitigate the security burden? What security features are built into the application?
Right, because since you own the host, Savely has to be pretty robust internally.
Yeah.
It needs to be its own fortress in a way.
Makes sense.
So the first line of defense is encryption. They use AES 256 GCM encryption.
Okay, what does that mean in practical terms?
AES 256 is a very strong, widely trusted encryption standard. The GCM part adds authentication, making it even more secure against certain types of attacks. Crucially, this protects your sensitive data at rest.
At rest, meaning when it's just sitting in the database on my server.
Exactly. So imagine the worst case. Someone breaches your hosting account, maybe gets a copy of the database file itself.
Yeah.
With this encryption, the actual contents, your passwords, your financial data, your private notes would just look like gibberish. They'd be indecipherable without the correct decryption key, which remains under your control, managed by the Savely application.
Okay, so that provides a strong layer of privacy. Even on my potentially less secure shared hosting, the core data is protected internally.
That's the idea. It's foundational. But as you said, protecting data at rest is only part of the picture. What about protecting access to the Savely application itself, stopping unauthorized logins?
Right. How do they handle that?
They layer several protections. First, there's support for two-factor authentication, 2FA. That should really be considered mandatory these days for any sensitive system.
Agreed. What else?
Then you have important session management features, like an automatic lock screen if the application is inactive for a certain period.
Oh, that's useful if you step away from your computer in a cafe or office.
Definitely. And more proactively, they address brute force login attempts, someone trying to guess your password over and over.
How?
If the system detects multiple incorrect password attempts from the same IP address within a short time, it temporarily locks the account for, say, 30 minutes. And importantly, it sends an intrusion alert email to the registered owner.
Ah, so you get notified immediately if someone's trying to hammer your login page.
Exactly. That instant warning is vital. If you get that email, you know you need to check your logs, maybe change your password, investigate what's happening.
That seems pretty comprehensive for account access.
And the security thinking goes deeper into the technical architecture itself. For listeners interested in the nitty-gritty,
Yeah, let's hear it.
they use standard best practices to prevent common web vulnerabilities. For instance, they employ CSRF tokens.
Cross-site request forgery tokens.
Right. These basically ensure that when your browser sends a command to say this note or delete this contact, that command actually originated from within the Savely application itself, not from some malicious script running on another website trying to trick your browser into doing something harmful.
Okay, so it prevents certain kinds of sneaky attacks.
It's a subtle but really important defense. They also mention using prepared SQL statements and rigorous input sanitization.
Sounds technical. Why does that matter?
It's the primary defense against SQL injection attacks. That's one of the oldest, most common, and most dangerous ways attackers try to compromise web applications and steal database contents.
How does it stop them?
By treating any data coming from the user, anything you type into a form field, as pure data, never as executable code. It prevents an attacker from tricking the database into running malicious commands. It's absolutely essential for any application handling sensitive information.
Got it. And they also mention GDPR compliance.
Yes, they state they handle all sensitive fields in a way that's compliant with GDPR principles, which suggest a design philosophy focused on data minimization, user rights, and careful handling of personal information regardless of where the user is located.
Okay, security seems robust. But in a self-hosted system where I'm the admin, I also need visibility, right? I need to know what's happening.
Absolutely. Transparency is key when you're running the show. Savely addresses this with a detailed activity history.
Like an audit log.
Exactly. It's a comprehensive log that tracks every significant action within your Savely instance.
Yep.
Every login attempt, successful or failed. Every time data is created, modified, or deleted. Every time data is exported. It's all recorded.
So I can always go back and see who did what and when.
Precisely. That level of oversight is crucial for maintaining control and trust in your own system.
And you mentioned session management earlier. How does that work for visibility? Especially since people use multiple devices now.
Right. You might be logged into Savely on your laptop, your phone, maybe a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
The session management feature gives you a dashboard where you can see all currently active login sessions. It shows the device type, the browser used, the IP address it logged in from, and the last time it was active.
Okay, that's useful.
And crucially, if you see a session you don't recognize, maybe you forgot to log out on a public computer or you suspect unauthorized access, you have a button right there to remotely terminate that specific session instantly.
Ah, so you can kick out any suspicious logins immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah.
That granular control over active sessions really solidifies the promise of being in command of your own system.
That control brings us nicely to the overall architecture. If Savely wants to do a personal operating system, it can't just be a bunch of secure folders, can it? It needs synergy.
Right. It needs internal coherence.
Yeah.
The documentation uses this metaphor, which I quite like. The golden cube of your digital life.
The golden cube. Okay, tell me more.
It's a way to visualize how the different parts connect. You have these 14 distinct modules or functions, tasks, notes, contacts, finance, etc.
Yeah.
But unlike using separate apps where those functions are totally isolated, in Savely, they're designed as integrated edges of this single unified structure, the cube.
And what makes that integration possible structurally?
It comes down to a modular and extensible design. Technically, each functional area, tasks, events, files, and so on, is built as an independent module. Each module has its own specific database tables optimized for its particular job.
Okay, so specialized tables for tasks, different ones for contacts.
Exactly. This keeps things organized and efficient. It prevents the database from becoming one giant, messy table, which helps performance.
But how do they connect? What makes it integrated?
The key is the relational link. All these specialized module tables are designed to connect back, relationally, to a central users table. This core link ensures data integrity across the system and provides flexibility.
How so? Flexibility.
Well, maybe you're a heavy user of tasks and notes, but you never touch the link shortener module.
Right.
The modular design means the link shortener part just sits there quietly. It doesn't slow down or complicate the parts you do use. But the moment you decide to shorten a link, it's ready and it integrates seamlessly because it's built on that same core relational structure.
I see. So the data is fundamentally linked at the database level, even if the functions are modular.
Precisely. And that underlying linkage is what enables perhaps the most crucial part of the operating system vision, the integrated dashboard.
The command center, the first screen you see when you log in.
Exactly. It has to be the central hub. And its power comes directly from that integrated relational architecture we just discussed.
What's the killer feature of the dashboard?
I'd say it's the universal smart search. Because all your data tasks, notes, contacts, passwords, files, emails, financial transactions, links, lives within that same integrated structure.
Yeah.
You can run a single search query that hits every single module simultaneously.
Okay, hold on. Why is that fundamentally different from just searching my Google Drive or searching within my email client or my Notes app separately? What's the so what for the listener here?
Great question. It's about context and relationships. When you search in separate apps, you're usually just finding keywords within that specific silo.
Right.
Let's say you're planning a trip to, I don't know, Berlin. In the old way, you might have a packing list task in Todoist, a note with research links in Evernote, a contact for a friend there in Gmail, maybe a saved flight confirmation PDF in Dropbox.
Okay, typical scatter.
Right. If you search Berlin in each app, you'll find those items individually.
But
Savely's Smart Search understands the potential relationships because the data is linked. You type Berlin into Universal Search, and it should instantly pull up the relevant event you created for the trip dates, the contact card for your friend, the archived web pages you saved about attractions, the task list for packing, maybe even related financial entries if you logged expenses. And it presents these results categorized by module.
Ah, okay. So it's not just finding the keyword. It's retrieving the whole context related to that keyword across all parts of your digital life.
Exactly. It transforms information retrieval from fragmented searching into holistic knowledge recall. That's a big deal for how you access and use your own information.
That really does sound like a step towards an operating system feel. What else makes the dashboard feel like a dynamic hub? Are there real-time elements?
Yes, it uses widgets to surface important information instantly. For example, there are real-time financial account cards.
What do they show?
They display the current balances of the financial accounts you're tracking within Savely, and they can handle multiple currencies. So at a glance, you get a snapshot of your financial situation without needing to open the dedicated finance module.
Convenient. What else?
Right next to that, typically, is a Weather plus Clock widget. This uses a weather API key that you provide, again, putting you in control to show current conditions like temperature, humidity, wind, etc., plus a 5-day forecast, sunrise-sunset times,
Okay.
and a configurable clock, digital or analog, showing the date in whichever calendar system you've chosen as your default Gregorian, Solar Hijri, or Islamic.
That integration of calendar preference everywhere seems like a core design choice.
It definitely is. It runs through the whole system.
Okay, besides search and widgets, how does the dashboard help you get to frequently use stuff quickly, minimize clicks?
They use dedicated quick access panels for that. There's usually a popular bookmark strip.
What is that, sure?
It displays maybe your top 10 or 15 most frequently accessed bookmarks saved in the bookmark module, complete with their website favicons for quick recognition. It even shows a little internal visit count, which is a neat touch.
What else?
Below that, you might have a panel showing your most recently edited notes with a little pop-up preview so you can quickly check the content without navigating away.
Nice.
And for relationships, there's often an updated contacts panel that specifically highlights upcoming birthdays with little countdown badges. Helps you stay on top of those important dates.
Little things like that add up to feeling organized. I also see the outline mentions tabbed progress displays.
Yes. To give you a quick visual status check on your active projects or goals, the dashboard often shows the latest items from the tasks, events, and goals modules in a tabbed view.
Okay.
And these items usually have colored progress bars associated with them, so you can see at a glance how far along you are on your key objectives.
And finally, for getting new information into the system quickly.
Friction reduction is key there. They have what they call a circular quick add menu. It's typically a floating button. You tap it, and it fans out options to instantly create any type of new entry. A task, a note, an event, a password, a financial transaction, a short link, whatever.
So one click from the dashboard to start capturing any kind of data.
Exactly. Makes capturing those fleeting thoughts or important details much more seamless.
Fantastic. Okay, the dashboard really does sound like the brain, leveraging that integrated architecture. But the power comes from the individual modules, right? The actual tools that replace those scattered apps.
Absolutely. The 14 modules are the nuts and bolts.
Let's spend some serious time digging into these. We should probably group them thematically to make sense of it all. How about we start with productivity and planning? That seems core. Tasks, events, goals.
Sounds good. That's where Savely goes head-to-head with tools like Todoist, Google Calendar, maybe even dedicated goal trackers.
Okay, kick us off with the tasks module. What makes it more than just a simple checklist?
Detail and flexibility seem to be the focus. You can, of course, create tasks, but you can also create multi-level subtasks, breaking down complex projects.
Okay, nested tasks. Standard but necessary.
Right. You can set recurring patterns for tasks that repeat. Assign specific due dates, of course, but also set reminders. You can tag tasks or organization and filtering across projects.
And is there tracking built in? Like, how much progress have I made on a task?
Yes. They include ways to track progress visually, using those colored progress bars we mentioned seeing on the dashboard. And interestingly, they also mention built-in timers.
Timers? For what?
Presumably, for time tracking, how long you actually spend working on a specific task.
Yeah.
Like a mini Pomodoro timer, or just a simple stopwatch attached to the task itself.
Interesting integration.
But the really unique feature here, the one that shouts global personal operating system, is the multi-calendar support within tasks.
We saw that on the dashboard clock. It applies here, too.
Yes, you can set due dates, view your task lists, and manage deadlines using the standard Gregorian calendar, or the Solar Hijri calendar, or the Islamic calendar.
Wow. That's actually huge for users outside the typical Western context. Most productivity apps are completely Gregorian-centric.
It's a major differentiator if you live or work across cultures that use those calendars. It makes the tool feel truly native, not just translated.
Okay, powerful task management. What about the events module, their calendar alternative?
This provides the kind of interactive calendar views you'd expect: day, week, and month views. And it supports intuitive actions like dragging and dropping events to reschedule them.
Standard calendar stuff. What makes it integrated?
The key integration is with the contacts module. When you create an event, you can directly invite guests by selecting them from your secure Savely contact list.
Ah.
And the system can then send out email invitations to those contacts directly from within Savely using the integrated mail client functionality we'll get to later.
So it closes the loop between scheduling and communication.
Exactly. And just like the task module, the events module fully supports setting start and end dates using Gregorian, Solar Hijri, or Islamic calendars, ensuring accuracy for all users.
Consistent localization. Good. Now, the third piece in this productivity trio, the goals module, how does this go beyond just listing aspirational goals?
It's designed for tangible, metric-based tracking. It's less about vague intentions and more about measurable progress.
How does that work?
When you set up a goal in Savely, you define a specific unit of measurement. That could be anything: pages read, kilometers run, sales made, dollars saved, hours practiced, whatever is relevant to your goal.
Okay, so quantifiable units.
Right. Then you input the starting value, the current value, which you update over time, and the target value you're aiming for.
I see.
The system then uses this data to give you instant visual feedback, typically using circular progress charts, those donut charts showing how close you are to hitting the target.
Visual motivation.
Exactly. And you can categorize your goals like health, finance, professional development, and generate reports based on these categories. It makes it a powerful tool for monitoring progress on longer-term objectives, tracking KPIs, or personal growth milestones over potentially years, not just weeks.
Okay, that covers planning and doing. Let's shift gears to core information and archiving. This is the stuff you absolutely need to keep safe and find easily. Notes, contacts, and files.
Right. The bedrock of personal information management.
Let's start with the Notes module. What's it aiming to replace here? Evernote? Google Keep? Simple text files?
It seems to be aiming for a blend. It wants the quick capture ability of something like Keep, but also the richer formatting and archiving capabilities closer to Evernote or Notion.
How does it achieve that?
It uses an advanced rich text editor called Quill. This allows for proper formatting, bold, italics, lists, headings, plus embedding images and links directly within your notes.
Okay, so more powerful than basic plain text.
Definitely. And to combat that blank page problem when starting a new note, they offer a library of over 100 pre-built templates.
Templates for notes? Like what?
Things like structured meeting minutes, project outlines, SWOT analyses, travel itineraries, book summaries, common frameworks to help you capture information consistently.
That could be genuinely useful. Now, security is paramount for notes, especially if they contain sensitive personal or business information. We talked about AES encryption earlier.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing on the dashboard description that you can get previews of recent notes. How can the note content be encrypted if I can see a preview? That seems contradictory.
That's a clever bit of security engineering. Here's how it likely works. The full, rich content of your note, the main body text, embedded images, etc., is encrypted at rest on your server using AES.
Okay.
However, the system might store the note's title and perhaps a very short, automatically generated, non-sensitive plain text snippet unencrypted, or perhaps encrypted with a different mechanism that allows for quick preview generation.
I see. So the preview isn't showing the full decrypted content.
Exactly. It's just enough to remind you what the note is about.
So,
When you actually click to open and view or edit the full note, only then is the main encrypted content fetched and decrypted, typically within your browser session for viewing.
Got it. So if someone managed to grab the database file, they'd get the titles and maybe snippets, but the core sensitive information within the notes would remain protected.
That's the design goal. It balances usability, seeing previews, with strong security for the actual note content.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move to the context module. Beyond just storing names and numbers, how does it leverage being part of this integrated PIMS?
Well, it offers rich profiles, as you'd expect. You can store a photo, company details, multiple addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, social media links, birthdays, lots of fields.
And security for this personal data.
Crucially, they emphasize that sensitive fields within the contact record are also encrypted server-side. So things like private notes about a contact or perhaps certain custom fields you create get that extra layer of protection.
Good. And the integration points.
We already mentioned the link to the events module for sending invitations, and the integration with the dashboard for those birthday alerts with countdowns, which helps with relationship management. Beyond that, it offers efficient searching and filtering. You can instantly find contacts, and you can organize them using custom groups or tags, making it easy to pull up specific lists like clients, family, or Project X team.
Okay, solid contact management. Now, the big one for many people, the file manager. This is positioned as the self-hosted alternative to Dropbox, Google Drive, etc.
Yes, and the absolute core principle here, repeated constantly, is that your files are stored securely on your own host.
Not on Google servers, not on Dropbox's servers, on my server.
Exactly. You maintain 100% control over the physical or virtual location and the management of your digital assets. Full data sovereignty for your files.
What features does it offer? Is it just basic upload, download?
No, it seems quite feature-rich. It supports multi-file drag-and-drop uploads, which is essential for usability. It also has a neat feature allowing you to upload files directly from a URL. So if you find an important PDF online, you might be able to paste the link and have Savely download and save it directly to your file manager.
Well, if that could save a step. What about viewing files?
This is often a weak point in simple self-hosted solutions, but Savely seems to address it well. They mentioned comprehensive preview support for diverse formats directly in the browser.
Like what kind of formats?
PDFs, common video formats like MP4, audio like MP3, images, JPG, PNG, GIF, and even plain text files. The idea is you can quickly view the content without needing to download the file first, which saves time and bandwidth.
Very useful. Any other key file management features?
Yes, two important ones, file versioning and secure sharing.
File versioning, like keeping old copies.
Right. It implies that if you upload a new version of a file with the same name, Savely keeps the previous versions accessible.
Yeah.
So if you make a mistake or need to refer back to an earlier draft, you can potentially revert.
That's a critical feature often found in cloud storage. Good to see it here. And secure sharing. How does that work if it's on my host?
You can generate specific shareable download links for your files. But crucially, you have control over those links.
Oh, so?
You can optionally protect the link with a password. And you can set an automatic expiry date and time for the link. So you can share a file temporarily and know that access will be automatically revoked after, say, 24 hours or 1 week.
So you get granular control over who can access shared files and for how long without relying on a third-party services sharing infrastructure.
Exactly. It keeps the control firmly in your hands.
Okay, that covers core information. Now let's tackle security and credentials specifically. For many users, the password manager is arguably the most critical piece of a PIMS. Trust here is non-negotiable.
Absolutely. This is where Savely offers its password vault module, designed as a direct replacement for services like LastPass or Bitwarden.
What does it store?
The standard essential fields: a title for the entry, the username, the password itself, the website URL it relates to, and tags for organization.
And security. Obviously, AES encryption again.
Yes, all the sensitive credential data stored here is protected by that same AES 2556 GCM encryption we discussed. That's table stakes for a password manager.
What about usability? How easy is it to actually use the passwords day to day?
The focus seems to be on secure efficiency. They mention one-click reveal or copy buttons for the password field.
Okay.
The copy function is important. It should ideally copy the password to your clipboard briefly and maybe even clear it automatically after a short period to minimize exposure. The reveal lets you see it if needed.
Makes sense. Anything else on password security?
They also mention fine-grained session safeguards related to the vault. This might imply things like requiring reauthentication after a certain period of inactivity, specifically before accessing password functions, or perhaps specific permissions if multiple users share a Savely instance. It adds an extra layer of protection around your most sensitive data.
Good. Next in this category is the bookmark manager, an alternative to Pocket or Raindrop.io.
Seems like it. It lets you save, categorize, and tag web links, much like other bookmarking tools.
Does it do anything special?
It automatically tries to fetch the website's favicon, the little icon you see in browser tabs, which helps with visual recognition when browsing your saved links.
Nice visual touch.
It also includes what they call popularity insights. This sounds like it simply tracks how many times you've clicked on or visited a saved link from within Savely.
How is that useful?
It could help you identify which saved resources you actually use versus the ones you saved once and forgot about. Helps with pruning your collection over time.
Okay, makes sense. But the outline highlights a really interesting feature here. Offline reading archive. What's that about?
Ah, yes. This is potentially very powerful, especially for researchers, students, or anyone who relies on web-based information that might change or disappear.
How does it work? It's not just saving the link, is it?
No, it's much more than that. It aims to save the entire content of the web page locally on your own Savely server.
The full HTML, CSS, images, everything.
That's the idea. With a click, it downloads a snapshot of the page as it currently exists and stores it within your Savely instance.
Why is that significant?
It means you have a permanent archived copy. Even if the original website goes down, changes its content drastically, removes the page, or puts it behind a paywall later, you still have your readable, locally stored version from the time you saved it. It's true digital preservation for web content you care about. Data permanence.
That sounds amazing. But wait, let's pause here. If I start archiving hundreds, maybe thousands of complex web pages with lots of images and media, isn't that going to consume a huge amount of storage space on my hosting account and potentially impact performance if my server is struggling?
That is an absolutely critical point and gets right back to the core trade-off of self-hosting. Yes, the power as the offline archive feature comes with a direct cost, storage space, and potentially server load during the archiving process. The user must be aware of their hosting plan's limitations, disk space quotas, bandwidth, maybe even CPU limits.
So Savely provides the powerful tool, but the responsibility for managing the resource consumption rests entirely with the user.
Entirely. This feature highlights that self-hosting isn't just about control. It's about responsible management of the resources you control. It's probably not a feature to use heavily if you're on the absolute cheapest, most resource-constrained shared hosting plan.
Excellent clarification. Power comes with responsibility. Okay, let's move into the final group of modules, the specialized utilities. These seem to push Savely further into that operating system territory by integrating functions often handled by separate desktop apps or specialized services.
Exactly. We're talking about their mail client, the finance tracker, a link shortener, and the integrated weather system.
Okay, starting with the mail client. Aiming to replace desktop clients like Thunderbird or maybe webmail interfaces.
Yes. It provides a unified inbox experience within Savely. It supports connecting multiple email accounts using standard protocols, IMPAID for incoming mail, SMTP for outgoing.
Does it work with major providers?
They specifically mentioned tailoring it to work smoothly with Gmail and Outlook accounts, alongside generic IMP SMTP setups. And crucially, your email account credentials, like your app password, are stored encrypted within the Savely vault.
Security for credentials again. Good. What's the integration benefit here? Why use this instead of just opening Gmail?
Again, it's about data flow. When composing an email, you can apparently select recipients directly from your secure Savely Contacts module. No need to copy-paste email addresses.
Okay, that's convenient.
And perhaps more significantly, when you receive an email with attachments, you should be able to save those attachments directly into your Savely File Manager module.
So no more downloading to the desktop than re-uploading to my storage.
Exactly. It creates a more seamless workflow, keeping related communication and files together within the same system. That's the operating system circulatory system idea in action.
Right. Next, the finance tracker. This looks like a competitor to budgeting apps like YNAB or Mint, though Mint is gone now.
It does seem quite robust. It allows you to manage multiple financial accounts, bank accounts, credit cards, cash, etc. And importantly, it supports handling transactions in multiple currencies simultaneously.
Useful for travel or international dealings. What can you track?
The basics. Recording income, logging expenses, tracking transfers between your accounts. You can categorize all these transactions. You can also manage custom payment methods like distinguishing between different credit cards or payment apps.
Does it offer analysis? Budgeting?
Yes, it includes budgeting features and provides analytical reports. Think charts showing income versus expenses over time, breakdowns of spending by category, the kind of visual financial overview you'd expect from a dedicated budgeting tool.
And the key difference is all this sensitive financial data lives encrypted on my server, not on Intuit's or some other fintech company's servers.
Precisely. You are manually inputting or perhaps importing transaction data, if they support that, meaning zero automatic connections to your banks and therefore zero external data sharing related to your finances. That's a huge privacy advantage if you're wary of linking bank accounts to third-party apps.
Definitely a draw for the privacy conscious. Okay, now, a perhaps more niche utility, the built-in link shortener. Why include this, Seems very specific.
It does feel specialized. It seems aimed at users who need link shortening capabilities.
Yeah.
Maybe freelancers, small business owners, marketers, but who want to avoid using external services like bit.ly or tinyURL, perhaps for privacy reasons or for branding.
How does it work?
It lets you create short URLs using your own domain name, the one Savely is installed on. So you get branded short links.
Okay, like my-savely-domain.com, not -link.
Exactly. And you have significant control over these short links. You can customize the alias, the part after the slash. You can password protect the link. You can set an expiry date. You can even limit the total number of clicks allowed before the link deactivates.
Wow, that's quite a bit of control. Does it track clicks?
Yes, it includes a professional-style analytics dashboard specifically for your shortened links. It tracks the number of hits, the geographical location of the clickers based on IP address, the type of device they used, desktop, mobile, and the referring website.
So you get marketing insights, but privately, without relying on third-party trackers or cookies.
That seems to be the value proposition.
Yeah.
Private branded link analytics integrated right into your personal data hub.
Interesting addition. And finally, the last specialized utility is the weather widget we touched on earlier.
Right. Just to reiterate, it provides real-time weather conditions, temperature, humidity, wind speed, atmospheric pressure, plus that 5-day forecast. And the key is, it uses your own API key from a compatible weather service.
So Savely itself isn't providing the weather data feed.
No, it integrates with external services via API, but you control the API key relationship. It keeps the data feed integrated directly and privately into your dashboard experience, avoiding reliance on a proprietary Savely weather service that might track usage or disappear.
Control again. Okay, we've covered the 14 modules in detail. That's a huge amount of functionality packed into one system.
It really is.
But functionality isn't everything. To truly be a usable personal operating system, it needs good localization, customization options, and crucially, ways to get data in and out. Data sovereignty is paramount.
Couldn't agree more. If the system is difficult to use in your language, or if you feel trapped once you're using it, the promise of autonomy kind of falls apart.
Let's start with localization and user experience flexibility. How does Savely handle different languages and user preferences?
They seem to take localization seriously. The documentation highlights support for 7 languages currently. English, of course, but also Persian, Arabic, German, Italian, Spanish, and French.
That's a decent range. Is it just text translation?
They specifically emphasize full native right-to-left or RTL support.
Why is native RTL support important? What does that mean beyond just flipping the text direction?
It's critical for usability for languages like Arabic and Persian. Full native RTL means the entire user interface layout adapts. Menus might appear on the right instead of the left. Progress bars might fill from right to left. The flow of tabs and columns respects the natural reading order.
Ah, so it's not just translated. The whole visual structure feels natural for an RTL user.
Exactly. It makes the difference between an application being merely usable in a language versus feeling truly native and intuitive. It's vital if you're aiming for global adoption as a core personal system.
Okay, good localization. What about general customization for any user?
There's a general settings area where you can tailor the experience. You can set your preferred language from the available options, choose between a light or dark visual theme.
Dark mode. Essential these days.
Absolutely. You can also define your preferred default calendar type, Gregorian, Solar Hijri, Shamsi, or Islamic Hijri, which then applies across the system where dates are used.
We saw that consistency.
You can set your default currency symbol, which is mainly used in the finance module. And you can configure the inactivity timer for that automatic session lock feature we discussed earlier.
So decent control over the look and feel and basic behaviors.
Yes, enough to make it feel more like your personal setup.
Now, arguably the most important aspect of data sovereignty, getting your data in and out, the no lock-in promise lives or dies here. How does Savely handle backup, import, and export?
This is crucial, and they seem to address it directly. First, for safety and redundancy, they offer full backup and restore functionality.
Can you automate backups?
Yes, they explicitly mention the option to schedule daily automatic backups. You control when the backup happens and presumably where the backup file is stored, likely within your hosting space, which you should then back up externally yourself.
Okay, so disaster recovery is covered, but what about migration? Getting data into Savely from other tools or getting it out if you decide to leave?
This is where they showcase their commitment to open standards. The import-export capabilities look quite extensive.
What formats do they support for importing data?
They list standard, widely used formats: CSV, comma-separated values, HTML, VCF, vCard format for contacts, ICS, iCalendar format for events, and plain TXT.
And they mention specific tools you can migrate from.
Yes, they explicitly state that these formats support migrating your data from other PIMS tools and password managers, naming examples like 1Password and LastPass.
So if I have years of data in LastPass, I can export it, usually a CSV, and Savely provides the pathway to import it directly. That lowers the barrier to switching significantly.
Exactly. It's a practical demonstration of trying not to lock users out by making the onboarding process difficult. They provide the on-ramp using established non-proprietary data standards.
And the reverse. If I use Savely for a year and then decide I want to move to something else or just want my data in a standard format, am I trapped?
Based on their documentation, absolutely not. They offer export capabilities using those same open standard formats: CSV, HTML, HTM, VCF for contacts, ICS for events, and TXT, presumably for notes.
So the data is truly yours. It came in using open standards, and it can leave using open standards.
That's the promise.
Okay.
Your data isn't held hostage in some proprietary format you can't easily use elsewhere. That freedom to leave is, paradoxically, a key reason someone might trust the platform enough to join in the first place.
Makes perfect sense. Are there any other admin-level tools for managing the data?
Yes, they mention a few powerful tools. There's a category manager, presumably for managing the tags and categories used across different modules. There are options for bulk deletion of data per module, with warnings that this is irreversible, of course.
Useful for cleanup.
And finally, there are options for permanent deletion of the entire user account and all associated data, again, emphasizing irreversibility, which aligns with data privacy principles like the right to be forgotten.
Okay, comprehensive data management. Just quickly for the listeners who are technically inclined, what's the underlying technology stack? What's powering all this?
It seems to be built on a fairly modern and standard LMP-like stack, but with specific choices. The back end is primarily modular PHP, version 8.2 mentioned.
PHP 8.2 is recent and performant. Modular reinforces that architecture point we discussed.
Exactly. The front end uses modern JavaScript, ES6. The database is MySQL, which is very common for web applications.
Any specific libraries they mention using?
They highlight a few key ones that power specific modules. Fullcalendar.js for the interactive events calendar, chart.js for generating all the graphs and charts in the finance and goals modules, and PHP Mailer for handling the email sending functionality reliably.
Okay, standard, well-regarded libraries. And the development timeline. Is it actively maintained?
The notes mention an initial release date of June 2025 and the latest update in July 2025. Assuming those dates are representative, it suggests very recent and active development and maintenance.
Good sign. And security practices underpinning the code.
Just to recap those, they mention using bcrypt for securely hashing passwords, not storing them in plain text, using those prepared statements we discussed to prevent SQL injection, and implementing CSRF tokens to protect against cross-site attacks. Standard, solid security practices.
Okay. We've covered a massive amount of ground here. Architecture, security, 14 different modules replacing common apps, localization, data portability.
It's a very ambitious project.
So let's try to synthesize this. What does Savely ultimately offer, and who is it really for? What's the big takeaway for the listener?
I think the bottom line is that Savely represents a serious attempt to create a truly unified, self-controlled command center for your entire digital life. It's tailor-made for the user who prioritizes digital sovereignty and privacy above the convenience of mainstream cloud services.
Who specifically does that include?
Several groups come to mind: freelancers, consultants, small business owners who need robust, secure, decentralized organization without ongoing fees. Students and researchers, especially those dealing with sensitive data or needing that permanent offline archiving feature for web resources.
Right, the data permanence aspect.
And perhaps the largest group: anyone who is simply privacy conscious and fundamentally tired of the limitations, the data mining, the shifting terms of service, and the potential security risks associated with entrusting their entire digital existence to big tech cloud providers.
So it's for people looking to escape the walled gardens of the cloud.
Precisely. Savely offers an escape route, albeit one that requires taking on the responsibility of self-hosting. It's a tool designed to transform that scattered collection of specialized apps we started with into a single, cohesive, integrated digital life system. A true personal operating system run by you, for you, on your own terms.
And the implication isn't just about being slightly more efficient, is it? It's more fundamental.
I think so. It's about reclaiming a level of fundamental digital autonomy that many of us have gradually ceded over the years for the sake of convenience.
It's about knowledge and control.
Exactly. You, the user, gain thorough knowledge of exactly where your data resides because it's on your server. And you regain the control over access, usage, and permanence that you outsource when you use cloud services. This whole trend towards self-hosted PIMS, like Savely and others, it reflects a growing, sophisticated desire globally to decouple our core personal information management from corporate commercial interests and surveillance models.
A powerful movement. So let's leave our listeners with a final thought to mull over, building on everything we've discussed.
Okay.
If Savely, or a system like it, truly functions as a personal operating system running on your own server, completely under your control, what is the single greatest piece of digital clutter, or the most sensitive piece of information currently living somewhere in big tech's cloud that you would finally feel comfortable eliminating from there and bringing home into your own secure, private digital space?
That's a great question. What's the first thing you'd repatriate?
Thinking about that specific piece of data really crystallizes the value proposition, doesn't it? It helps you consider the real-world path to reclaiming your own digital universe.